Gantt chart. Gantt chart was introduced by Henry Gantt around 1900 AD. Gantt chart is also called as bar chart. It is one of the oldest project management tool. It consists of two coordinate axes. The horizontal axis represents the time elapsed and the vertical axis represents the jobs or the activities that has to be performed. Each bar represents one specific job or an activity of the project. The beginning and end of each bar represents the start time and the finish time of that activity respectively. The length of the bar therefore represents the time required for the completion of the job or the activity. Each bar can be represented either by a set of two lines running parallel to each other or by a thick solid line. Let's now look into an example on bar chart or Gantt chart. It consists of two axes. The horizontal axis represents the timeline and the vertical axis represents the activities or the different jobs that has to be performed in a project. For our convenience, we are just having this grid so that it is easy for us to represent each job or the activity. Now we have different activities A, B, C, D and E. So these are the different activities that has to be performed in a given project. Now you can see the horizontal bars or the rectangular boxes that represent each of these activities from A to E, and the length of these activities are the duration of that activity. Now let us consider any one of the activity and see how the start date, end date and the duration of the activity can be calculated. Now we will consider only activity B. Now the start of the activity represents the beginning of the activity. So the activity B is starting at time t equal to 2. The end of the box represents the end of the activity. Therefore, activity B is going to finish at the end of time t equal to 7. Therefore, the duration of activity B is time t equal to 7 minus time t equal to 2, which gives us 5 days. Similarly, we can calculate the duration of each of the activities from A to E. The activity A is starting at time t equal to 0 and it is ending at time t equal to 4. Therefore, the duration of activity A is 4 days. Similarly, for activity B, it is starting at time t equal to 2 and is ending at time t equal to 7. Therefore, the duration of activity B is 5 days. Next, for activity C, the start time of activity C is time t equal to 5 and the finish time for activity C is time t equal to 11. Therefore, the duration of activity C is 6 days. For activity D, the start time is at time t equal to 6 and the end time is time t equal to 9. Therefore, the duration of activity D is 3 days. And the last activity E, the start time is time t equal to 8 and the end time is time t equal to 15. Therefore, The duration of activity E is 7 days. Now let's look into an example on how to draw a Gantt chart for the given activity, the duration of the activity and the relation between these activities. So the question is as follows. The activity breakdown for a certain project is shown. Prepare a bar chart for the project. You can see in the table the different activities are given and the corresponding duration in days are also given. At the bottom we have the different relationship between these activities. The relationship for these activities are: activity A is the first activity, activity B and C can be done concurrently and both must follow activity A. Activity B must precede activity D. Activity E cannot begin until both activities B and C are completed. Activity F can be started only after activities D and E are completed. Activity G is the last activity which can be started only after completion of activity E. Now we'll solve this particular problem using a Gantt chart and determine what will be the total duration of this project. Now we'll consider the very first relation given. Activity A is the first activity. So that is the relation that has been given. Now we have to see what is the duration of activity A. So from the table we can see activity A, the duration is 1 day. Now we'll see how to draw this activity in a Gantt chart. So as mentioned, the Gantt chart consists of two axes. Horizontal axis or the x-axis represents the time elapsed and the y-axis or the vertical axis gives us the different activities or the jobs that has to be performed. Now either the activity flow can be from top to bottom or it could be from bottom to top, whereas the time flow will be always from left side to right side. Now we'll draw the first activity, activity A. I will be approaching the top to bottom for this problem, for the activities. Therefore, I am going to denote activity A at the top. So I have activity A at the top. Now the duration of the activity A is 1 day, and also from the relation we have seen that activity A is the first activity that has to be performed. Therefore, all the activities which are the first or which are going to start at the beginning, for them we always have to start from time t equal to 0. That is because the start time for the project is always taken as time t equal to 0. Therefore, in the problem we have only one activity, that is activity A, which is the first activity, and the duration of activity A is 1 day. Therefore, we are going to represent activity A like this. So this is how we represent activity A in a Gantt chart. Now let's look into the second relation. The second relation is activity B and C can be done concurrently and both must follow activity A. The durations for activity B and activity C are: from the table we can see activity A takes 2 days and activity C takes 4 days to complete. And now from the relation they have given activity B and C can be done concurrently. So first we need to know what is the meaning of the term concurrently? So concurrently is also called simultaneously or start at the same time. That means activity B and activity C can be started at the same time, and both these activities must follow activity A. That means after completion of activity A, both the activity B and activity C can be started at the same time. Now let's see how can we draw these activity B and activity C. We'll go back to our Gantt chart. Now I'll have activity B and then I have activity C. As mentioned, both these activities must follow activity A. That means after completion of activity A, B and C are going to start. Now activity A is completed at time t equal to 1. Therefore, the start time for activity B and activity C will be from time t equal to 1. Now we know the duration of these two activities. Activity B is taking 2 days. Now we'll draw a bar chart for activity B. It looks like this. And the duration for activity C is 4 days. And we'll draw a bar for activity C. And this looks like this. Now let's move on to the third relation that has been given. Activity B must precede activity D, and the duration for activity D from the table, it is 3 days. So what is the relation that has been given? Activity B must precede activity D. That means activity D can start only after activity B is completed. Now let's see how can we draw activity D. I'll have activity D below activity C. As per the relation, activity D can start only after activity B is complete. Now we have to see when activity B is complete. Activity B is completed at time t equal to 3. Therefore, my activity D is going to start from time t equal to 3, and it is taking a time of 3 days for it to complete. Therefore, I'll have activity D something like this. Now, let's move on to the next relation. Activity E cannot begin until both activities B and C are completed. And the duration of activity E from the table, it is 1 day. Now let's see how to draw this activity E. I'll have my activity E below activity D. From the relation they have given, activity E cannot start until both activities B as well as activity C are completed. Now from the Gantt chart we can see activity B is getting completed at time t equal to 3, whereas my activity C is completing at time t equal to 5. Now as they have given in the relation, activity E can start only after both activities B and C are completed. Therefore, we can see from the Gantt chart that both activities B and C will be completed at time t equal to 5. Whereas at time t equal to 3, my only activity B is completed, but C is still not completed. Therefore, we'll consider time t equal to 5 when both activity B and activity C are completed. Therefore, my activity E is going to start from time t equal to 5, and the duration for activity E is 1 day. Therefore, my activity E will look something like this. Now let's move on to the next relation. Activity F cannot be started only after activity D and E are completed. So we'll see how does this look like. We know the duration of activity F is 2 days. Therefore, I'll have my activity F below activity E. From the relation they have given, activity F cannot start until both activity D and E are completed. From the graph or from the Gantt chart, we can see both the activity D and activity E are completed at same time, which is at time t equal to 6. Therefore, activity F is going to start from time t equal to 6 and the duration for activity F is 2 days. Therefore, my activity F is going to look something like this. Now we'll see the last relation, that is activity G is the last activity which can be started only after completion of activity E, and the duration of activity G from the table, it is 4 days. Now we'll go back to the Gantt chart. I'll have my activity G below activity F, and also they have given activity G can start after completion of activity E, that is at time t equal to 6. Therefore, my activity G is going to start from time t equal to 6 and the duration of activity G is 4 days. Therefore, the activity G will be drawn something like this. So this is our final Gantt chart. Now let's look into one more example on how to draw the Gantt chart. Prepare a bar chart for the finalization of designs and work order for a building project. So here they have given in the table the short form for the activities, the description of those activities, and the duration of these activities in weeks. And in the bottom they have given the different relation between these activities. Activity A is the site selection and survey. It is taking 4 weeks. Activity B is the design and it is taking 6 weeks. Activity C is preparation of drawings, taking 3 weeks. Activity D is preparation of specifications and tender documents, again taking 3 weeks. Activity E is tendering, it is taking 4 weeks. Activity F is the selection of contractor, taking 1 week. And activity G is the last activity, that is award of work order, it is taking 1 week. And now look into the different relations, and then let's prepare a bar chart or the Gantt chart for this project. Now let's consider the first relation. Activity A and B can start concurrently. As mentioned, concurrently is nothing but simultaneously or can start at the same time. Therefore, from the relation, both activities A and B can start at the same time and the duration of the activities can be seen from the table. Activity A, that is site selection and survey, takes 4 weeks, and activity B, that is design, takes 6 weeks. Now let's see how to draw the Gantt chart for these two activities. So we have the timeline in weeks along the x-axis and the activities along the y-axis. Again, I'll be approaching top to bottom for the activities. I'll have my activity A and activity B from top to bottom. Now, as given, activity A is going to take 4 weeks. Therefore, I'll have my bar for the activity A something like this. Similarly, for activity B, the duration is 6 weeks. Therefore, I'll have an activity something like this. Now let's move on to the next relation. Activity C can start after 2/3 completion of activity B, and the duration of activity C, that is preparation of drawings, is 3 weeks. Now let's see how can we represent activity C in the Gantt chart. I have activity C below activity B. Now, as per the relation, activity C can start only after activity B is 2/3 completed. Now, let's divide activity B into 3 parts. This is the first 1/3 of activity B. This is the 2/3 of activity B. Therefore, as per the relation, activity B or activity C is going to start after activity B is 2/3 completed. That is at time t equal to 4. Therefore, from time t equal to 4, my activity C is going to start, and the duration for activity C is 3 weeks. Therefore, activity C is going to look something like this. Next, we'll move on to next activity, which is activity D. Activity D can start after activity C is also 2/3 completed. Similar to the previous relation, activity D can start after 2/3 completion of activity C, and the duration of activity D, that is preparation of specification and tender documents, can be seen from table, which is 3 weeks. Now let's see how to draw activity D. So below activity C, I'll be having my activity D, and now I'm going to divide activity C into 3 parts. This is the first part and this is the second part. As per the relation, activity D is going to start after activity C is 1/3 completed. Therefore, activity D is going to start from time t equal to 6, and the duration for activity D is 3 weeks, and I'll have activity D something like this. Now let's move on to the next relation. Activity E can start only when activity D is completed. So activity E is the tendering, and it is taking 4 weeks of time. And let's see how can we draw activity E. I have activity E below activity D, and it can start only after activity D is completed. Activity D is completed at time t equal to 9. Therefore, the start time for activity E is time t equal to 9, and it is taking a duration of 4 weeks. Therefore, the bar chart for activity E will look something like this. We'll move on to the next relation. Activities E, F and G are to be completed in sequential order. Activity E has been already completed. Therefore, we have left with activity F and G. Activity F is selection of contractor, taking 1 week of duration. Activity G is the award of work order, which also takes 1 week. Now, in the relation they have given, activities E, F and G are to be completed in sequential order. So sequential order is nothing but one after the other. That is, after activity E is completed, activity F is going to start. After activity F is completed, activity G is going to start. Now let's see how to draw these activities in the Gantt chart. I have my activity F, which is, and activity G. Now activity F is going to start after activity E is completed at time t equal to 30, and the duration of activity F is 1 week. So activity F will look something like this. Now for activity G, it is going to start after activity F is completed at time t equal to 14, and the duration of activity G is 1 week, and therefore activity G will look something like this. Now our final Gantt chart for the given project. Now we can clearly see here the total duration for the completion of this project is 15 weeks. That is the day when the last activity is completed. That is activity G, which is 15 weeks. Now let's look into the advantages of Gantt chart. Gantt chart is easy to represent the project schedules and activities. There is a clear visibility of dates and time frames. It helps us to plan by weekly basis, daily basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis, and yearly basis. It helps in efficient time management. Gantt chart is also easy to check the status of the project. Let's look into the limitations of Gantt chart. Gantt charts are not suitable for large construction projects. It requires more efforts for creating and managing the chart. Updating the chart is very time consuming. All the tasks are not visible in a single view of Gantt chart. And also, it is not easy to realign the tasks from one section to the other.